Hey guys, Tarke here, and in the background is the live chat from the BlizzCon opening ceremony because they just announced Diablo Immortal. Diablo Immortal is a new Diablo game, and it is a mobile game, and people aren't very happy. Now, anyone who's been watching my stream over the last weeks knows that I was actually really wanting a Diablo mobile game, and for anyone who doesn't know who I am a Path of Exile streamer, I'm a host of Path of Exile's main podcast at the moment. I'm kind of into the whole ARPG genre, and I just want to briefly say why I think that this might be the best direction for the franchise. Now, obviously, I haven't played it, haven't seen any real gameplay outside of the little trailer, so if it plays terrible, then it won't, succeed. But if the gameplay is solid, I think that the mobile direction is the smartest thing for the franchise, because Path of Exile is a very big elephant in the room for Blizzard. Diablo 3 is a game. If you enjoy it, good for you. Most of us play PoE. Now, a lot of my PoE viewers were like, oh, maybe they'll do a D2 remaster, maybe they'll come up with something really fancy. Would you play it if they went, Diablo 4, what would you do? If they, just made another expansion for Diablo 3 or a Diablo 4, and there's no reason why they couldn't do a Diablo 4 a couple of years from now if this builds a bunch of hype back up into a franchise which has been very much struggling. So they can still do Diablo 4 in the future if this builds hype back up. But let's say they did it on PC. Another update to Diablo 3, it's dead at this point. It needs a whole new overhaul. And to be honest, the ARPG market on PC is kind of owned. We've got it with PoE. PoE just dominates the RPG space for PC. It's got it covered for Xbox as well. It looks like it's also going to be ported over to PlayStation. So the only thing Diablo 3 really had left was Switch, which they've just done. So by going on to mobile, nearly everyone has a mobile. A lot of people have mobiles. Mobile screens are really big now. I have a particularly large phone, but mobile screens are pretty big. It makes a lot more sense to market to a whole new untapped audience. You can't play PoE on mobile. By going to mobile, you completely skip your main competitor. And it just makes sense. You might be disappointed, but it makes so much sense to go directly to mobile. This also means that if you are a die-hard PoE guy, but you find yourself regularly commuting to work or traveling like I do, since I'm in a long-distance relationship, so I spend a lot of time hanging around in airports, having a mobile option is amazing. And if anything is going to get me dragged back into Diablo and away from Path of Exile, it would be exposure through a mobile game. So I think if you just step back and look at the bigger picture, getting people interested in Diablo again through third-party things, in the sense of a new mobile game, there's been talks of maybe a Netflix series. If you can wean people back into the franchise, build hype on the side, and then do a Diablo 4 a couple of years from now, you're going to have a much smoother transition than releasing Diablo 4 right now and having to compete with PoE after a couple of pretty lackluster years of just Diablo. Now, another thing which is really cool about it, and another thing which is a big issue with Diablo 4, a lot of diehard Diablo players were really upset about Deckard Cain. Deckard dying was a major no-no. And a lot of people wanted it to be retconned somehow. And if you do Diablo 4, people would expect it to come after the events of this. By rebranding this as Diablo Immortal and it's kind of a side thing as a mobile game, they're actually making it a prequel to Diablo 3. Meaning they basically get to retcon Deckard Cain without destroying their own lore. So they get to expand the story a bit by adding a bunch of new stories. This then sets up avenues for new Diablo books, new Diablo series, whatever. Again, trying to build hype back into the franchise. You get to skip all the things that people hate about Diablo 3 while kind of leaving it untouched, and that without having to admit, hey guys, we really screwed up. I think it's the cleanest possible solution. There's also a bunch of new skills and whatever, so even if you are a super diehard Diablo fan, and you're but why? I think it's worth trying. Honestly, I think it's worth trying, and if you're still absolutely crying, and it's terrible, you can come back and be Tarke, you were wrong. But I'm pretty optimistic for this, and I'll also just quickly finish up by saying the new Warcraft looks really good. Warcraft Reforged looks amazing. So basically they're doing a complete revamp of Warcraft 3, and it looks really, really good. But yes, Diablo Immortal, I'm actually pretty interested. And brief reminder, we're having a Bay class, which is Path of Exile's leading podcast, tomorrow, talking about all the upcoming exciting features for 3.5, and I'm sure we'll also joke a little bit about the mobile hype. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.